Escape reality and immerse yourself in a gripping tale of mystery, murder, and romance with June's Journey. Join June as she unravels the truth behind her sister's mysterious death, and use your observation skills to find hidden clues and uncover dark secrets. Plus, you get to explore stunning hidden object scenes, from New York parlors to Parisian sidewalks, as each chapter reveals captivating mysteries. How sharp are your observation skills? Put them to the test in June's Journey. Download for free today on iOS and Android.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder Express.
Yay and choo-choo.
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us all aboard the murder train, pulling away from the station. We got, of course, a crazy one, as always, on Small Town Murder. And, of course, Small Town Murder Express. We're going to stuff 10 pounds of murder in a 2-pound bag, and we really have that this week, because we have some of the most information we've ever had in a case in this one. There was a Freedom of Information Act thing that just has every document, every police report. It's a lot to go over, so we really stuffed it into here. It's going to be a wild story. Before we get to that, very quickly, shutupandgivememurder.com. Head there right now. Tickets for live shows. Also, tickets for a virtual live show. It is April 19th. It's the 420 virtual live show. We do it every year. It's a tradition now. I am going to have some weird apparatus for Jimmy to smoke out of and get him all freaked out. We're going to wear stupid costumes again, and it'll be a theme and a lot of fun and a crazy murder story. Wherever you are in the world with Wi-Fi, you can watch this. So can't wait. Join us that night, and it's available for 2 weeks afterwards also, so you can watch it 100 times and do whatever you want with it. Also, get your tickets for the regular live shows. St. Louis is the first up. I think it's about sold out, though. Chicago, that's where you got to look at here. Chicago at the Riviera in May. That's where we will be. Check that out, and then the rest of them as well. A lot of them are selling out, so get your tickets immediately for that. Shutupandgivememurder.com. You also are going to want Patreon.
Oh, yes.
For sure. You're going to want to listen to Crime in Sports, our other show, which we're doing an Evil Knievel series on right now. Don't have to like sports for that. You listen to your stupid opinions. But if you want more, you can get Patreon. Patreon.com/Crime in Sports is where you get all the bonus material. Anybody $5 a month or above, you get immediately upon subscription hundreds of bonus episodes you've never heard before. And then you get new ones every other week. One Crime in Sports, one Small Town Murder, and you get it all. That's right. This week for Crime in Sports, we're going to talk about the 2012 Miami Dolphins bullying scandal that they had, which is really weird, and some new information just came out about that. People are talking about it now, so we'll find out more. Then for Small Town Murder, the Amazon review killer.
Golly.
Which, that goes along with so much of what we do. Small Town Murder, your stupid opinions, all of it in there. We'll talk all about that and more. Patreon.com/Crime in Sports. And you get a shout out at the end of the show as well. At the end of the regular show. Jimmy will mispronounce your name horribly while dying to get it correct.
That's our credo.
That's it. So that said, I think it's time, speaking of our credo, here is our credo. I think it's time, everybody, to sit back, clear the lungs. Let's all, arms to the sky, let's all shout. Shut up and give me murder. Let's do it, everybody.
Okay.
Let's go on a trip, shall we? We are going to Utah this week.
What a place.
We're going, this place is really some kind of place.
Yeah.
This is Lucin, Utah, Lucin.
Nope.
And if people have never heard of it, it's because it's a ghost town at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially after what happened here, it's even more of a ghost town now.
Is that right?
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about it. Not a lot of stats, but a little bit of some weird shit here. It's in northwest Utah. Out over there, about 3 hours to Salt Lake City, about 3.5 hours to Pleasant Grove, Utah, our last Utah episode, which was Dr. Serial Killer. That was a good one. This is in Box Elder County.
Box elder.
Box elder, two separate words. I don't know. Elder has something to do with Mormonism, I'm sure, because they call each other elder. I don't know. So a little bit of history. This town was founded in the late 1800s, originally about 10 miles north of its current location. And it was only here to provide water. It's a water stop for railroads to replenish their steam locomotives. That's the only reason why it's here. Then in the 1903, the town moved. They moved it to its site now to serve as a stop for the Lucin cutoff, which was another railroad thing there. The town's population consisted mainly of employees of the Central and Southern Pacific Railroads back in the day.
Great.
In 1936, the town was completely abandoned and then resettled by a group of 4 retired railroad workers and their children. They decided we're going to start a town again here.
We like it. We're not going to stop it.
And they came back about 37, so the next year. Then there was people there until 1972, and then no one lived there anymore.
It's a wild place.
Then in 1997, a guy named Ivo Zdarsky, who was an aviation engineer or entrepreneur and manufacturer of the Ivo prop, which is a plane propeller. He invented it. He bought it and moved there. He bought the airport. He bought
the whole town.
Not the whole town, but like the airport and a bunch of land, basically.
Okay.
So he did that. As of 2016, except for intermittent people stopping, people we're going to talk about in this show because they were there and all of that kind of thing, and Zdarsky, there really wasn't anybody there. Like it was just maybe 5 people. This Zdarsky lived alone in an airplane hangar. That's it.
Cool.
That's what he did. When they asked him why he moved to the desert, he said, quote, "I escaped from Czechoslovakia, then I was in California, and then I moved here." Okay.
In broken English, I'm sure.
In Czech, yeah, it is too. So it doesn't talk very much here.
Why are you here? I escape.
I escape and come.
And then now I'm here.
He bought 400 acres for $99,000. That included.
That's why he moved.
Yeah, that included the Lucin Airport as well.
Yeah, I would too if I had a little bit of cash and no need to do anything. That's awesome.
Problem was the airport was just a runway. There wasn't even a building.
Yeah,
there's no like Cinnabon in there or anything. None of that shit. It's just a runway. That's it. So he made a hangar. He built the hangar, a 50-foot steel hangar. No windows, no anything like that. He just lives in a metal box in the middle of the
Winter's
desert.
cold and summer's hot.
Absolutely. So he says some people drop by when they're exploring because they don't know. They're like, "Oh, someone lives here."
They don't believe it.
They're like, "What is this?" He says, "You always run into people," and they said, "Well, how often is always out here?" And he says, "If you define seeing people by seeing a car driving by, maybe once a week." So once a week he sees a car drive by, and
at least a car.
He says that's always seeing people. You always run into people,
Every week there's a person.
As they fly by at 75 miles an hour, I consider that a relationship.
I assume a society is going because I saw a car last week.
It's so wild. He said that the post office won't deliver there, but UPS and FedEx will deliver there. So he can get shit delivered. He said
stamps are useless. You gotta.
He used to get delivery from the Schwann's food truck.
Oh yeah,
which makes those little frozen pizzas. Yeah, and they'd bring him prepared meals, but he canceled it because he gained too much weight. He said he was gaining too much weight, couldn't do it. He says he's got great internet speed out there. He said, so I'm on Amazon ordering stuff, and then UPS will bring it to me in the middle of nowhere.
Wow. That's got to be a driver's nightmare seeing that address.
Amazing. Very quickly, I have to talk about it. They call it, there's an oasis in the desert because approaching there, you said you can see a clump of lush green trees about 3 miles to the south and southwest. And apparently a small 4-inch pipe originating in the Pilot Mountain range to the southwest supplies water there.
Wow.
So there was ponds. There's ponds here, too. There's the Lucin Pond and everything else. So, there's also some telephone booths there.
Really?
That are like old abandoned telephone booths.
Close the door and shit.
You can get land there, Jimmy. Look at the pictures of this land.
Show me this. Oh, boy.
It is nothingness.
There's nothing. That one's cool.
That's got a mountain in it, at least.
It's a good view.
You can get.
The rest of it's just desert.
80 80 acres for $46,000.
80 acres.
80 acres, $500 an acre, basically.
Oh my God.
10 acres, 10 grand. And then here's one, 640 acres, 320 grand.
That's unbelievable.
That is so cheap. There's nothing there, obviously. Speaking of that.
How far to Salt Lake? 3
hours.
Okay.
Yeah, not commutable at all now. Things to do here. Well, not much, honestly. Popular stop for people that look for rocks. Rock people. Apparently there's an apple green chert-like phosphate mineral varicite that's in this area.
Oh,
they look for that.
Apple green. There's no apples.
There's
it's
no
just
apples.
The color of the rock.
If you see that, it's not an apple. And there is a large artwork here that actually plays into our story a little bit here. It's mentioned, called the Sun Tunnels, which was created by an artist named Nancy Holt in 1976. Look, it's just concrete tubes in the desert.
Yeah.
Sun tunnels. Look at this.
Remember those things in school? Did they ever have those on your playground? They had those on our playground. They were buried, half buried.
Yeah, it's just like a big water pipe. This is like,
there was a kid that ran into one of those and fucking capped herself. She peeled the top of her fucking head off.
They look like things that people would hide in from like prison dogs that are chasing them, except these are just out in the deserts. They're not underground.
Or the cheap school district puts them in the playground.
Yeah.
Hiding those, you fuckers.
It is fucking wild, man. So that said, let's talk about a murder here. This is May 31st, 2022. We're going to talk so recently. It just happened. 8:30 a.m. here. Okay. A detective is called to about a missing person reported in this area in the Lucin, Utah area. So they have to drive all the way the fuck out here. There's no police station in Lucin. So
what police station shows up?
I believe it's the county, the Box Elder County sheriffs or whatever. So the Box Elder County Search and Rescue had already responded to the area, and they were requesting police assistance. So this detective arrived and talked to some people and found out who was missing and what was going on here, and found out that it is a 19-year-old young man who's missing named Dylan Rounds. He was 19 years old, and he's got a weird story. He seems like a kind of a cool kid. He's from Rigby, Idaho, originally. And at this point in 2022, he's living by himself in a camp trailer where he farms grain out there.
How old is he?
19. 19. It's his dream to have a farm in the middle of nowhere where he makes grain or grows grain.
Tough kid.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's an interesting dream for and he owns land.
Wow.
Like he and his father and grandfather chipped in and bought this piece of land so he could farm it and all this type of thing. It's pretty interesting, honestly.
Very cool.
His mother said Dylan was out building his life. His lifelong dream was to have his own farm. He spent the last 2 summers ripping out and redeveloping that ground on his own. He got his water rights. He did everything. And this year, his grain was finally coming up. He finally got a crop. He got his pivot up. It was a fully functional farm.
Okay.
So, cranking. Dylan, doing great. Now he's missing.
Not good.
Not good. Yeah. I mean, it seems like he could have just wandered off, but you could see people for like 8 miles in every direction.
Yeah. I mean,
you're not going to miss
your whole land if you got 680 acres.
Yeah, you can see it all. So apparently the original, this is the cop gets here, the detective, he gets filled in, and he's told that Dylan spoke with his grandmother on the phone on the morning of May 28th, this day that they're called out here. And he was told that he told his grandmother he's going to be parking his seed truck. He was on the phone with her. He said, "Oh no, it started raining," so he had to take his truck to park it in the
shelter,
in a shed, basically a grain shed where he kept his shit there. Okay, which is a couple miles away on this area. Wow. So he's got to go park it there. So he said he had to stop working and go do that on the property. Now, where the shed is where a guy is squatting, by the way.
Okay.
There's a guy named James Brenner who squats in the shed and squats.
What's that guy's story?
Oh man, he's got an interesting story.
Oh, I believe it.
He needed to come out here because he was not doing well in regular society.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Too many people, not good for him.
Hey, this guy shouldn't be around many people here. So I guess then he said, I'm going to go put the truck away, and then I'll call you back, is what he said. So that's on his cell phone here. But he never called back. And then nobody could get in contact with him in any way. So people came out to look for him. He wasn't there. They called the cops, and this is what happens now. So this detective was told by the police station here that his Dylan's phone had been pinged, and the last location was returned to a little over a 15-mile radius, because there's not a lot of cell towers out there.
Holy shit!
If you're in a
big radius.
If you're in a concentrated area, there's cell towers everywhere. They can coordinate it more. But if you're out there where there's one cell tower, anywhere in this
services 15 miles.
That's it. So they were trying to figure it out, the distance of the radius. They were like, there was no direction in which to search. A 15-mile radius is huge.
Pick a spot, go 15 miles away from it, and then do a circle.
That's great. That's so big. It's so big. It's such a big area. So it's not a good, if you have like 3 cops, it's going to take you a month to search a 15-mile radius.
For sure.
It's going to take forever. So they can't really do that. So they said there was a shelter on a section of land owned by Box Elder Land and Livestock that was adjacent to this property here. Okay. I guess so. Dylan is doing all this. I guess this James Brenner was using the storage shed to sleep in, hang out in, and to store stuff. Both of them lived in off-the-grid trailers. I guess he had a little trailer too, James Brenner. But he was also sleeping in the shed sometimes for some reason. Doesn't make any sense. So this guy doesn't make a lot of sense. James Adrian Brenner, who was 58 at the time in 2022. So way different than Dylan. I mean, totally 3 generations away.
This guy's just starting and this is a 19-year-old's lifestyle, not a 58-year-old's lifestyle.
Yeah, to me, this is like a 41-year-old's lifestyle.
For me, look, I'll be 44 in a second.
A 19-year-old with
I can't do this for more than 2 days.
No. But a 19-year-old running his own farm seems odd also.
That part's nuts. But if it's
weird.
A small grain operation, it's not so bad.
Now, this Brenner is considered a family friend of the Roundses here. They know him. He's considered just a guy of the area.
Helping him out.
Yeah, one of those guys. He's got a decent little criminal record on him.
Sure.
He's got a record that includes malicious wounding, malicious shooting, multiple convictions of being a felon in possession of a firearm.
All right.
He had a shooting charge from 1986. And at another separate occasion, he was charged with and accused of beating a 70-year-old man with an aluminum chair.
Oh, my.
He went full fucking WWF fucking extreme. He went full ECW on a 70-year-old man when he was like 40. Worked him over with a chair.
So a man born in the 60s. Like, he was a teenager in the 70s, and he's going to have some criminal shit, but that's heavy.
A lot. I have the arrest report for his 1986 shooting arrest.
Okay.
And it is real fucking interesting. First of all, it says no fixed address on there for him, which says a lot. So even as 1986, he was a drifter. Yeah. It was that long ago back there. It was 5'10", 160. He is listed as under employment, unemployed aluminum siding hanger. So
I hang aluminum siding where? Well, not right now.
Not currently. I've hanged aluminum siding. Say, how's that?
And if more pops up, I'll hang it.
I will hang it again. So this took place at a 7-Eleven store. All right, which makes the whole thing way trashier immediately. Yeah. So it says the above defendant was arrested after he was involved in a shooting at the Costa Regional Park at approximately 1750 hours. The defendant was sitting in his truck at campsite number 4, I guess it's near a 7-Eleven, at Costa Regional Park. He was visited by Mr. Danny Weir and Mr. Michael Spro, who had stopped to discuss a new job offer for him. Hey, there we go. Get some siding up. The defendant had been laid off earlier in the day by Mr. Weir. Okay. Now they're back.
Today he was laid off. We've got work for you now.
And now we're back with work. The defendant allegedly uncovered a handgun from under a blanket in the truck and reached for the gun. As he did, Mr. Weir reached for his arm, meaning this guy's arm.
To stop him.
Mr. Weir stated that as he reached for the defendant's arm to push the gun away from his chest area, the two struggled, the gun discharged, and the bullet shot him in the right thigh.
God damn it.
The bullet then passed through the right calf of Michael Spro, who was standing behind him. So he shot two people.
Shot two guys, one bullet.
Who were trying to fucking get him a new job.
Yeah.
He then stated to Mr. Weir, quote, "I'm going to kill you, you motherfucker. You cost me my job." As the two struggled for the gun, the defendant attempted to cock the gun for another shot.
Wow.
Holy shit. At this time, Mr. Weir was able to gain control of the gun and give it to Dwight Castaborder. The defendant then ordered his dog, a German Shepherd, to attack Mr. Weir, which it did. That's a good puppy.
It's a damn good dog.
Mr. Weir received several bites to the leg and numerous scratches to his chest area. What a bad day. With the help of witnesses at the scene, Mr. Weir got the defendant off of him. At the time, the defendant approached Mr. Castaborder and demanded his gun back. When he did not receive it, he fled in his truck.
Yeah.
A lookout was issued by Officer Wright to all area police agencies. The defendant was stopped at the 7-Eleven. That's where that comes in. This is in Maryland by Prince George's County. He was transported to Clinton Station, blah, 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 blah. The defendant was processed and interviewed. He stated that he did not remember any of the incident and that he did not own a gun. I don't know what you're talking about.
Search me. I don't have a gun. I don't know what you're talking about.
The gun described as a .44 caliber Ruger 6-inch barrel.
God
Holy
damn!
Shit. He shot him with a fucking Dirty Harry gun, for Christ's sake. Holy shit.
The Wyatt Earp piece keeped his thigh.
Yeah,
Good
revolver,
fuck.
black powder model.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's a real-ass gun, man.
Wow, this is fucking crazy. Then later on, he stated that he does keep the weapon in his truck. Mm-hmm. He admitted to it.
In a box.
Wow.
Has like a seal on it that says Peacekeeper.
The Peacekeeper. With a picture of a mustache on it.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Big mustache. So in 2012, he served 2.5 years in federal prison after a conviction for being a felon in possession of a firearm.
Another gun.
So, and that happened all the time from the 80s on. So this guy is a fucking trip. He's a party.
He lives in the wind on the land. He needs a weapon for nature.
He does.
The cops don't want him to have one.
They should. No, he needs to not have a gun for any nature or anything else. So now there's a little background here. Apparently, Dylan, James Brenner, and a guy named Don Haitley, who is a next-door neighbor to this whole event. He has the property next door. He works the property next door. I'm not sure of the ownership status. They were in Idaho approximately June 20th, 2020, so 2 years earlier, related to the purchase of several hundred pigs. Now, people involved in the deal with the pigs were Brenner, Dylan, Ed Harshberger, and a guy named Larry. So Jim, Dylan, Ed, and Larry are going to go in on some pigs here. Larry explained that the pigs were part of a venture where Dylan was attempting to make a profit from the slaughter of pigs purchased from the Midwest during the COVID epidemic. So that's what he's doing. The pigs were purchased for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
The deal resulted in approximately 500 pigs being delivered to Larry's property in Idaho with an eventual plan to move the pigs to Lucin, Utah.
Wow.
Now, initially, Larry estimated there were only to receive approximately 100 pigs. However, 500 were eventually delivered. That's way more pigs.
That's so many pigs.
I went to a place, they gave me an extra pizza. And they were like, oh, we made an extra one. You can keep it. That's fine. 400 extra pigs. I'd be like, I don't have... What? That's
we
too
accidentally
many.
made 400 pizzas, James. Please take these home.
We accidentally made 399 extra pizzas. I don't know if you want these or not. So
you're hungry.
Moving the pigs from Idaho to Utah required approval by a vet in Idaho. Larry indicated that the veterinary clinic was upset with the number of pigs requiring approval. Yeah, they didn't want to look at them all.
Yeah, I'd be upset. That's going to take us so long.
You said 100. This is way more than that.
This is 5 times the word.
Holy shit. It was at this vet clinic where Dylan was seeking approval to move the pigs, where the initial altercation between James Brenner, and Justin, who is Justin is Dylan's father. Justin shouldn't be anybody's father. No one's father should be named Justin, number one. It just doesn't work. It's weird.
It's bizarre that there are people named Justin that are old enough to have kids.
Yeah, that's just straight. Someday there's going to be Grandpa Justin. We can't have that. It's just weird. We're going to Grandpa Justin's is a strange thing.
There's a professional football player named Aiden right now, and it drives me nuts every time they say his name.
I bet, yeah. You sound like a tiny white child. Why are you in the NFL? With like a hemophiliac with all sorts of allergies.
Like you should be sick somewhere.
Yeah, you should be like staying away from pets because they make you break out in hives.
And he's like one of the best players on the Lions too. And every time they say his name, I'm like, no, just call him by his last name. I can't do this.
Can't deal with it. So Dylan's father and Brenner got in an argument here.
Yeah.
At the time of this incident, Justin mistakenly believed that James Brenner was Harshberger, a totally different guy. He had him confused. That's why they were arguing. Justin was angry with Harshberger, believing that Harshberger was responsible for Dylan having an interest in farming in the Lucin area, which they didn't want him to do. Justin angrily confronted Brenner at the veterinary clinic and told Brenner to get off Larry's property where the pigs were being kept. Despite Justin mistaking Brenner for Harshberger, Brenner told Justin to meet on the lane outside the property adjacent to the house of Larry's father. This was a residence where Brenner was staying while he was working with Dylan. Okay. Brenner arrived. He's like, show up for a fucking throwdown, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Brenner arrived at the lane with, quote, his 6 gun on his hip in his holster. That's from a police report.
An actual revolver.
It's 2020, fucking 2020. COVID is going on. This isn't the fucking
this
Dodge
man's
City.
Wandering up for a fucking shootout.
This is not Tombstone. This is crazy. Larry believed that Brenner retrieved his gun from Larry's father's house. Justin arrived at the lane. He apparently knew it was up. He showed up with an AR-15, so he wasn't fucking around either.
Oh, boy.
This is crazy. There's like 4 people in the whole town, hundreds of miles. Get away from each other. What are you doing?
And they're all strapped and hate each other.
This is crazy. Fuck. So Larry somehow was able to de-escalate this situation so that no one shot each other. I don't know how you de-escalate this situation, but he did it. So Brenner and Justin were approximately 100 feet apart and were pretty angry. Brenner was walking up the lane with his gun. Brenner was angry with Justin and told Larry that. Brenner stated something to the effect of, "I hate that son of a bitch," which Larry described Brenner as having a short temper, which it sounds like. While Brenner was on the lane waiting for Justin, Justin went to his house, got the AR-15. Larry explained that Justin can get pretty loud when angry and was either pointing his finger at Brenner or had poked Brenner in the chest prior to. That's what caused the showdown. He poked him.
Chest poking.
So we're showing up with our guns. Neither pointed their gun at the other. Larry believed that if either would have pointed their gun at the other, someone would have gotten shot. I think so, too. Brenner relied on the good nature of Dylan and Larry for survival during the winter. Because during the winter, it's harsh out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it'll kill you.
Yeah. Larry pointed out that Dylan drove to Idaho from Lucin in order to collect firewood from Larry so that Brenner would be able to stay warm during the winter. So Dylan's doing him favors.
Wood.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Rounds also believe that it's likely that Brenner's temper played a part in the disappearance of Dylan. That's what Justin said, the dad. And indicated that if Brenner were to provide information of the location of Dylan's body, Larry would be interested in Brenner receiving a break in any potential charge or sentence. So they already have him. He did it, and he took him somewhere and did something.
Yeah, they got him assumed as the bad guy.
What if everything we thought we knew about justice was wrong? In This Is Actually Happening's new series, A World Beyond Revenge, we explore a radical idea that justice can be about healing, not just punishment. Through 5 powerful stories, we meet people who've experienced unimaginable harm and those who caused it as they come together to seek something radical. Healing. From a man tortured for a crime he didn't commit to a woman who misidentified her attacker. These stories will change the way you think about justice, forgiveness, and the possibility of a better world. Follow This Is Actually Happening on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to This Is Actually Happening ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
Megan Stoner was a young, passionate Republican and a self-proclaimed advocate for mental health. But behind her public persona lurked a master of deception. I'm Tiffany Reese, host of Something Was Wrong. In season 22, we're diving into the twisted world of a con artist who's been allegedly scamming and making false claims for over a decade. From the US to Canada, Megan Stoner has left a trail of devastation for her victims. But after a brief period of incarceration, she's now back out on the streets. And although she's free now, we're actively working with law enforcement to further justice for the victims of her alleged crimes. This isn't just another true crime story. It's a wake-up call about trust, deception, and the power of community to fight back. Follow Something Was Wrong on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of Something Was Wrong Season 22 ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
Now, from all we can assume here, it seemed like Dylan and James Brenner got along, though, so that makes it's interesting. So Dylan's family hires a private investigator. Which,
we're already there.
Well, they did it right away because I'm not sure. I don't think they have a lot of confidence in this police department going out in the middle of the desert and really following through on this shit, even though they do.
Doesn't seem like they're doing much out there anyway, so I don't know if they're versed in how to do this.
That's the thing. And I'm telling you, like I said, there was a Freedom of Information Act release of all the files in this case.
Yeah.
So I read 30 police reports. I read all this shit. So I saw everything they were doing, and they were following up on things. And I mean, they had to drive out to the desert a lot.
Trying their best.
A fucking lot here. So this guy went on a YouTube channel to talk publicly, the private investigator. He did all of that. He reported that Rounds has been farming in the desert town of Lucin, Utah during the summer months over the past few years. And, all of that sort of thing. So Dylan reportedly told his grandmother that he was doing the seed truck, and that's how that goes. So now he was last seen on May 26th, 2002. People talked to him on the 28th. He was last seen in a cafe in Montello, Nevada, which is close by on the other side of the border there, where he ate before going back to Utah. So they found out that that's a thing, so they're going to figure that out. On May 30th, now, this is his mom and Dylan's mom and Dylan's stepfather here, apparently, traveled out to Lucin from their residence in Idaho because Dylan hadn't been heard from. So on the way to Lucin, Candace is his mom, and his stepdad stopped in Park Valley, Utah, where they were able to get cell service and call Don Hately, the neighbor there, and then call the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office to report that Dylan was missing. During the call to Hately, Candace asked Hately if she should call the police to make a missing persons report, and Hately told her, yes, I think that would be okay to do now. So Candace and the stepfather drove from Park Valley to Lucin and met Hately on the road into Lucin where Hately's turnoff into his property was. Hately told Candace, the mom, that James Brenner was waiting for him there. Waiting for them to talk to them. Yeah. So Candace and the stepmom continued to the property where James Brenner lived. Hately waited near his turnoff so that Hately could direct others arriving to look for Dylan as to where to go, because there's people showing up looking for him. They pull their truck into the property. Candace and the stepdad are met by James Brenner. They park by the grain truck, which was parked in the grain shed. So they park back over there where he was last going. So after their arrival, James Brenner mentioned that Dylan needed to learn how to use a gun.
What?
He said that he kept the gun on one side of Dylan's truck and the ammo on the other side, and that Dylan would be better off learning to throw a gun as opposed to shooting it as a means of self-defense.
Because he's got the gun and ammo separate.
Exactly. So he had them separate. So they said that's interesting, and they reported that to the sheriff's department that he said that. He also repeatedly, James did, made mention that Brenner had been in the grain truck in order to reposition the truck because the truck had been backed in too far. He said, I had to move this truck because he backed it in way too far, like frustrated though.
Yeah.
So he also told them that whatever happened to Dylan likely left out of the front gate of the property because there were small dually tire tracks leaving out of the front gate. Okay. So they're searching all over the place. Within the first few days, volunteer teams logged over 300 hours searching, covering over 3,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah, they said they've been searching around the clock every day. Detectives have already
6,000 miles.
I don't know how you even do that. Yeah,
that's a lot.
That's a lot. They spent over 650 man hours investigating the case. They've got canines, drones. They've been on horseback. They flew planes over this thing. I mean, everywhere. They said the surrounding areas on the Utah and Nevada border is full of old mine shafts, caves, and tunnels. That's what the mother said. So she said a professional cave diver volunteered to help search some of those spaces for them. Because you got to know how to do that shit. So you can't just go fucking walking into a cave.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Parents also offer a $20,000 reward as well. And they also said there's a number of false rumors and fake fundraisers circulating on social media.
Oh,
about
isn't that
this.
fun?
Isn't that great? So on the initial day of May 30th, when they're looking around and searching, they found a pair of Georgia work boots.
Georgia.
That's the brand.
Yeah.
That belong to Dylan. And they're on the property behind the grain shed where the truck was backed in. The boots were being described as located directly west of James Brenner's trailer, and they looked like they were just thrown into the brush, like they weren't lined up next to each other, sitting there like someone took them off. Now, James Brenner claimed that Dylan must have thrown them away out there in the trash pile. So Brenner asked the police officer if he had found any blood on the boots, which the cop was like, "Pardon?
What?
That's a weird question.
About blood?
You didn't find any blood on those boots, did you? What
Yeah.
now? Thought you didn't even know they were there. What's up with that?" One of the boots appeared to have a dark spot on them consistent with some type of blood. And speaking with the sergeant that was there, Brenner detailed to him that on the 28th day of May, when he arrived home, he noticed Dylan had parked his grain truck in the shed. And James said that he went to the shed where he had pens set up for his chickens and horse, and that he was mad that Dylan had knocked over all the pens in parking his grain truck.
Uh-oh.
It's hard backing trucks in, you know? Yeah. So
anytime anybody's missing and somebody goes, I was mad at that guy.
I was mad at him. By the way, did he have blood on his shoes? Yeah, how about that? I got bracelets for you might like. So it's real interesting here. They said the original meeting place was at the location where Dylan parks his grain truck. The land on the location is being occupied by James Brenner. They made contact with Brenner and talked to him about this shit. Now, his original statement, he spoke with multiple individuals, Brenner did, and had been making the statement that he knew that someone had driven up and taken Dylan. So he's been telling everybody.
Oh.
And that Dylan wasn't just simply missing, he was taken.
He was kidnapped.
Kidnapped. So Brenner said he believed that this is what happened because his gate was open and Dylan never leaves Brenner's gate open. Brenner also stated that when he noticed the gate, he saw there were tracks at the gate, and also he identified the tracks that were there in a way that they appeared to stop, and that's where Dylan was taken. He figured right here. He detectived it all up.
Yeah, I've already found the dually tracks.
That's it.
At the gate, so he left.
I just fucking Jerry Orbach the shit out of this thing. It's good. We're done.
Get out of here, guys. This is my land now.
Take off. Yep. The cop said as he spoke with Brenner, the cop learned that what he was reporting to everyone was simply speculation, and he had no actual knowledge of Dylan being taken. He said, this is just your theory,
guessing,
your amateur detective guess, and he was like, well, yeah. They were like, okay, so that's useless. Great, thanks.
But just because I'm not wearing a badge, don't mean it didn't happen.
I guess not. No. So the boots that they found turned out to be a big deal because the mother said, those are the only pair of boots he has, Dylan.
Yeah, and a farmer's not getting rid of his boots.
No. He said, his mom said at that point it should have been treated as foul play. You just don't see someone's boots in the desert that's missing.
Yeah.
We knew the first day we got out there when we saw Dylan's boots what happened to him. That's what the mother says.
The mother knew already.
Mother said his boots are there. He's gone. This is fucked up.
Found his boots. He's dead.
He's dead. Yeah, found his dad. He just died with his boots off. That's all. So they follow the trail here. They go to Montello, which is the town over the Nevada state line where he was last seen. And they said they went to the Cowboy Bar, is what it's called. Big surprise there.
19-year-olds allowed in a Cowboy Bar.
Fuck yeah. Well, I guess you can eat there, too. And they spoke with two Montello citizens to see if they knew anything about Dylan. They asked the bar owner if she had seen Dylan recently. The bar owner said that Dylan had not been in for about a week. So they spoke with the bar patrons, and they were told that Dylan was staying out in Lucin, which they already knew, and that there were locals out looking for him as well. They're like, oh, there's people here out looking for him. So they asked the bar owner who Dylan spends time with, and she replied that he spends time with her son and that her son was out there looking for Dylan right now. Okay. Now, the daughter of the bar owner said that she heard Dylan had a confrontation with a man named Chase Venstra.
Why the fuck does she know that?
Okay, now Chase Venstra is a local drifter with a long criminal record, and he's a mess, basically. Okay. So the daughter said she was worried about this confrontation. She said that if Dylan walked back from where he left his grain truck and this Chase Vestra got a hold of him, something bad could have happened in that time, in that space between those two places. She explained that another individual in Montello had his face smashed in by the butt of a gun and his whole camper shell was destroyed. And the people at the bar said that Chase, that lives out in a motorhome out on Church Street, and that's where, quote, all the drug users live.
Chase is a bad guy.
Yeah, he's not a good cat in this town anyway. He's not considered one.
Yeah.
So this young lady went on to reply that she'd heard it said that Chase was out there in a ghillie suit.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's one of those like a camouflage suit.
Okay.
Looks like a swamp
combat
suit.
Some kind of okay.
Worse, it's like it's kind of. I mean, Schwarzenegger would have worn it in fucking
Predator.
Predator, yeah.
Yeah.
Why do I always want to call him Platoon?
I don't know. You've done that several. Much different movie.
Yeah,
but I would like to see Charlie Sheen fight the Predator, though. That would be great. That I'll watch. Fucking Willem Dafoe going after the Predator. That would be fun. Predator starring Tom Berenger. That's good stuff.
It's a swamp suit, essentially. It's like trying to keep yourself hidden, camouflage.
Okay. Well, she said he's out there in one of these suits and would attempt suicide by law enforcement if they came for him.
Oh, he might be just hiding amongst the
just ready to throw down.
Wow.
Ready to start a firefight with somebody.
Yeah.
So it was then stated that Dylan was driving down the road and Chase had stopped and asked Dylan for water. Chase then asked Dylan if he knew Kurt, which is another guy we'll talk about, and they got into an altercation somehow. Everybody fights over nothing in this town. There's two people around.
Nobody. And they're all mad at each other.
Two people in 5 square miles and they want to fight. Like, wouldn't you just want to talk to somebody? You'd be so lonely.
Wow.
Jesus Christ. So they got into an altercation and Chase said Kurt was an asshole, to which Dylan said he wasn't. Dylan said, no, he's not. He's a good guy. Yeah. Throw down, boy. So then they spoke with more bar patrons and didn't receive any new information about Dylan and Chase. It was stated at the bar that Dylan was a good kid and didn't do drugs. They were told that Chase does do drugs quite often, and outside of multiple rumors and second to third hand information, they found nothing further. So they drove back to Lucin to talk to some other people here. They talked to a guy named Kevin Bibbins, and they talked to him about a half hour. He said his property was burned down at one point. This place is...
Bibbins was?
Yeah, this is the craziest place ever, dude.
There's a lot of fire.
This is wild. Wow. And detailed a time when he was assaulted by Brenner as well, James Brenner. When the talk turned to Dylan, Kevin didn't have any information about what may have happened to him, but he did say that Brenner is kind of a nut and attacked him one time. So then he went out to this cop went out to the property where Brenner was and where Dylan parked the grain truck. The cops searched inside of the grain truck to see if maybe Dylan's phone or wallet may have been left inside. Yeah. And the cop said he was informed that Dylan's family had already gone through the truck, but he said he searched it again and didn't find anything except a phone charging cord. Okay. So there's about that. Now, this is when the cops find out that the family's not only put up a $20,000 reward, it also had an old picture of Chase Venstra and stated that they were offering a $5,000 reward for information on locating Chase.
Stalk this guy for $5,000.
Yeah, he's not even like technically a suspect yet. Like
he's not missing nor a suspect. What the fuck? Can you do that?
Fucking wild, man. That is crazy shit. So then they talk about that they found there's a guy. I swear to God, his name's Joe Glasscock.
Perfect.
He's the Wine Cup Ranch manager, Joey Glasscock.
That's the
wine.
Ranch is a wine cup?
Wine Cup Ranch. It's just called Wine Cup. But the word wine is in glass. It's just too much. So he's talked about an incident with Chase Venstra. He said about a week ago he was driving on the highway toward the Wine Cup Ranch when he saw Chase lying on the side of the highway dressed in camouflage.
In a ghillie suit.
In a ghillie suit. Joe said he recognized Chase from prior employment, so he stopped to check on him. According to Joe, Chase started to approach the vehicle while carrying a rifle.
You're not good camouflage. I could see you.
I saw, hey, buddy, what's going on?
While I was driving, I saw you.
And he's stopping to go, are you okay? And this guy's approaching him with a rifle.
Jesus.
So according to Joe, he said that Glasscock said he was concerned enough for his safety that he had a gun out on his vehicle seat, but Chase didn't continue all the way to the vehicle. Joe said that after his interaction with Chase, Chase walked east on the railroad tracks where Joe believed that he would come across Dylan. That's when Dylan ran into him. Chase was barefoot and needed water and his phone charged. And that's when Dylan let him charge his phone and gave him water. So There's a thing that happens there. According to Joe, Chase appeared to be under the influence of some type of narcotic based on his odd behavior and mannerisms. He said that he saw him. He said after the pickup left, Chase got up and I could see he was wearing camouflage clothing and a tan military-style backpack. He was carrying a tan assault rifle with a scope. He crossed the highway and started walking toward Lucin. I asked him what he was doing, and he said, quote, just trying to stay out of trouble. I said, with an assault rifle?
Yeah.
And he said, it's just a pea shooter. And that was the last he saw of him.
Okay.
All right. So more on Chase.
Oh, boy.
Later on that day, they talked to Candace, Dylan's mom, and Dylan's mom said that that Dylan had told her he was driving on Tacoma Road when Chase ran out of the bushes, bloody and high on drugs. According to Candace, Chase did not have any shoes on and wanted a ride from Dylan. Dylan didn't feel comfortable giving him a ride due to his erratic behavior, so Dylan reportedly left Chase with water and contacted Chase's father to inform him about Chase so he could pick him up. So that's another incident he's had with him. So that's interesting. Now, very, very interesting. Now, they talk a little bit about Dylan. They said he had purchased his own land, and they're talking about all this. They talked to the parents more about Chase to see if maybe there was some other stuff with Chase that happened. You know what I mean? What did he threaten your son? Did your son say anything about that? And all of that shit. So after they interviewed the family, they went back to the property that the grain truck was parked on. At that time, they had another sergeant there. They took a bunch of pictures, and Brenner was there the entire time and walked around with the cops while they tried to separate from him. They said they couldn't get away from him.
Where are you going, guys?
He wouldn't leave them the fuck alone. He wanted to see exactly what they were doing, which is odd when you add that with, is there any blood on that boot?
Yeah, and I've already found those truck tracks.
Yeah, this is weird. So June 3rd, 2022, they think Chase is on the run here. Okay. Cops are trying to interview Chase, but they were unsuccessful getting in contact with him. They couldn't find him, but they were left a voicemail. They were advised, though, by friends that Chase had been making posts on Facebook about Dylan's disappearance, saying that he wasn't involved in any way, which is super weird when you're posting on Facebook that you weren't involved. He posted that we would have not been in contact with him, but at one point he said he wasn't even out there at the time and that he already had spoken to Candace about it and was cleared by her and the private investigator. Oh, if you're cleared by the mom.
Tell the cops to leave me alone.
Yeah, tell the cops that. But the FBI's involved in this and shit. Like this is.
There's a 19-year-old missing.
So it's pretty fucking interesting. So they said the deputy said that he was. A deputy told the detective that he was Chase's neighbor growing up and that Chase had been sending him text messages about Dylan. Chase told this deputy that he had no involvement in the disappearance and he wasn't even out there after the 25th of May. At one point, he stated that he did talk to a private investigator and was cleared of any involvement, and he said that the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office just wants to arrest him and leave him in jail while they continue the investigation. So that's why he's hiding. He also said everything that anybody said about him was total bullshit, quote unquote. So then they found out, though, that Chase had a $75,000 arrest warrant out of Montana for a domestic incident.
Uh-oh.
So they got in contact with other sheriffs to try to find him and all that kind of thing. They finally get Chase in there.
Good.
They get him here. And he said the last time he talked to Dylan was when he drove him to the Tacoma Crossroads. So they talked to him. He said that, I don't know anything about it. That's just all he did. He said he gave exactly where he was. Everything. He said on the 28th of May at 6 o'clock, he was at Little Caesars Pizza. Then he bought beer and went home. Like, oh, that is a rough night. That's a rough gastrointestinal night. Pizza and Little Caesars. Or Little Caesars and beer. Oh, boy. He
Can't
said,
imagine it's any higher grade beer than Little Caesars kind of beer.
Oh, no shit, man.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
Imagine this. You help your little brother land a great job abroad. But when he arrives, the job doesn't exist. Instead, he's trapped in a heavily guarded compound, forced to sit at a computer and scam innocent victims, all while armed guards stand by with shoot-to-kill orders. Scam Factory, the explosive new true crime podcast from Wondery, exposes a multi-billion-dollar criminal empire operating in plain sight. Told through one family's harrowing account of sleepless nights, desperate phone calls, and dangerous rescue attempts, Scam Factory reveals a brutal truth. The only way out is to scam their way out. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
So Chase said some more information about things that were occurring in the desert here. He said that Dylan and Kurt Wadsworth might be in a relationship with one another.
Oh.
Kurt is the bar owner's kid, I believe. Yeah. Said that he thought they might be in a relationship with one another and described that he has seen Kurt dress up in dresses. Okay. He told the cops that he believes that Kurt could be attempting to, quote, set him up, meaning setting me up, Chase. He also said that when he was out in that area, he had his boy's SKS rifle, shotgun, and pistol, stated that the pistol was stolen. And he informed the cops that he thinks Kurt's place would be a good place to look for Dylan and that he hopes Kurt hasn't hurt Dylan.
Okay.
Wow. Interesting.
So they're in a homosexual relationship, and I'm hoping that Kurt didn't hurt him.
Yeah, that's what he's claiming. No one else is saying this, by the way.
That's a wild accusation.
It's a lot. Yeah, I mean, all we've heard are crazy rumors and innuendos, and
yeah.
This is small town gossip. That's all this is.
Nothing's checking out yet.
Nope. So they interview Brenner again. They keep talking to him. They talked to him on the 7th. They talked to him June 7th and then June 11th. And they serve a search warrant on his trailer During that search, they found ball ammunition, ignition caps, black powder, speed loads, all related to muzzle loading, which were photographed in the trailer. They didn't seize them at the time, but they're going to go back and he's going to get arrested for weapons charges again because he's not allowed to have that. June 8th, 2022, there's a tip that comes in here. They spoke with an individual who remained anonymous, and they said that, okay, Dylan Rounds and Kurt Wadsworth lived inside the Saddle Sore bar together, which sounds like a gay bar. I know it's not, but that sounds like your butthole sore because you've been getting it pounded all night. That's what that sounds like. That's the whole
point of it, yeah. That's
like,
what saddle sores are.
If you were in a city and you saw the Saddle Sore bar, you'd go, that's a gay bar. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So this guy stated that Wadsworth and potentially Dylan were running around with loaded guns and wondered if there was potentially an accident. It was reported that multiple individuals had been running around Montello, Nevada area with loaded guns trying to catch people committing thefts. Probably some crazy...
Vigilantes.
Probably some YouTube bullshit where they're trying to... They were previously referred to being vigilantes, but I was unable to actually obtain information confirming that this was actually transpiring. This is the cop talking. This is from his report. In the Montello, Nevada relation to Dylan Rounds, the vast majority of these statements were third person and could not be verified or confirmed at all. This person also stated that the Wadsworth family that's in Montello, Nevada was Barbara, Troy, Kurt, and Scott, and he said they ran a lot of things in town, including the Saddle Sore and Cowboy bars. They also said that Troy Wadsworth had been seen with multiple scratches on his forearm, and he had stated he crashed a three-wheeler. But this guy said, I went and looked at his three-wheeler, and it didn't have any scratches on it. So,
Those things will throw you. That's a stupid machine.
And he said that it happened yesterday, but his scratches were already scabbed over, so he didn't believe him.
Okay.
So, and then this guy, or whoever this is, this anonymous person, said that Kurt has a backhoe that was out in Lucin and explained that Kurt knows the mines and other areas that could be used to hide a body. So they're trying to put this on Kurt big time. So anyway, Brenner's arrested for all the weapons violations here. Yeah. They also go out to Dylan's property. They talk to Dylan's grandfather, Larry, and he told the cops that Brenner and Don Hatley had gone into town grocery shopping and that they recently spoke with Don Hatley and they were almost on their way back to Lucin. So they're waiting to arrest Brenner here. Okay. So they're going to do that. They get Brenner in cuffs. And this cop approached Don Hatley and inquired if the gate access to Brenner's trailer was secured or not. Don said it was open, but he could go and close it. Don't leave his gate open, which is a nice gesture by the cops.
Sure is, yeah.
So the cop asked Don about Brenner's horse on the property that he needed to keep in the fenced area. Don said that he does have a horse and stated that he needed Brenner's keys. Brenner said that Don would secure and lock the gate. I told him that Don was about to get the keys. Brenner started to get upset and saying that he doesn't want anyone in there. Yeah. I don't want anyone in there, which is weird. Yeah. Don said if he didn't want to give him the keys, that's fine, and asked if your trailer's locked, I'll lock it for you. Brenner said that it was locked, and he asked Don to close the gate and get the cooler that has meat in it from earlier when they got groceries. Okay. Brenner angrily said he doesn't want anyone in there. He was irate and said that people go in and out of there and they don't close the gate, and he has to go and look for his horse, and it gets out of the gate, and he says that he has to go up to the mountains to find his horse, which is bullshit.
It's enough with the horse.
Yeah. So this is fucking amazing. So Don said that Brenner had been living on his own property in the Nevada side of the state line before his trailer burned down, and that's why he went to live on Dylan's property. God. Don continued to explain that one day Brenner looked out his window and there were two people stealing a winch off his truck. He explained that Brenner hollered at them, but they just flipped him off. I'd expect...
Fuck you, it's our winch now.
I'd expect some desert trailer hermit to come out bucking shots, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm not taking any, especially a winch. That probably saves his life in some situation.
Yeah, and not only that, just if I see that, I expect the guy on the old Mountain Dew can to come out, like a long beard and a hat, firing a fucking shotgun into the air. Yeah. Talking about, get off my property, Tennessee Valley Authority. I don't want no electricity.
Those are very expensive. Don't fuck with a man's winch.
No. At this point, according to Don, Brenner had a black powdered pistol and shot at the individuals, which shall happen. Don did state that he does think that Dylan went and parked the grain truck on the property that Brenner was living on without calling Brenner to come and open the gate for him. Now, Brenner's statement, he said that Don Hatley, they're talking about what happened the day that he was gone, that Dylan disappeared. He said at approximately 1,300 to 1,400 hours, he left the farm where the trailer's located. He said that Don Hatley was cooking ribs and they were going to watch Yellowstone. I'm going to go watch some Costner is what I'm going to do. So
living life on the range, watching shows about life on the range.
Watching shows about living, going, these people are full of shit. Are they doing it just to call out how full of shit they are? That ain't right there. That ain't how you hook up a horse trailer.
Like, TV's a break from reality so that you don't have to think about day-to-day shit. They're watching shows about their day-to-day shit.
All I do is watch police interrogations and shit, so I guess it's the same thing.
But Yellowstone is about confrontation. Everybody's it makes sense why they're all mad at each other.
They get it. Apparently that's when you move out to the middle of nowhere, you just want to kill all your neighbors, apparently. Fuck. So Brenner stated that before he went to Don's residence, he went to Lucin Pond to gather wood and water because it's on the way to Don's. Brenner said that he arrived home about 2100 hours, and when he came over the hill, he saw Dylan's grain truck. He told the cops that Dylan was the kind of kid who does whatever the hell he wants and doesn't tell you anything. Brenner said that Dylan backed the grain truck in the shed and moved Brenner's stuff out of the way. Brenner also said that Dylan had broken some of his property. So according to Brenner, he didn't think anything of it until Don called him the next day and asked if he'd seen Dylan. Brenner stated that he was looking around outside. He found what he stated were 2 tracks of 10-wheelers going one in and one out. Brenner stated that he didn't use the front gate there and that he noticed Dylan had unhooked the wires to the gate because it was locked and he wanted access. Brenner further said that Dylan or somebody had wired the gate back up and he felt that Dylan had left the grain truck and exited the property. So as he continued, he named Chase Venstra and explained how Chase had been a problem in both Montello and Lucin. He said that he knew who, quote, over there uses methamphetamine. And he continued explaining that the different items and places he felt Chase had stolen from both him and other victims in the area. He said that Brenner said he saw a black truck on Chase's property that he knew was responsible for blowing up his trailer. So this guy says that Chase blew up his trailer. Okay. He relayed frustrations that the Elko County Sheriff's Department won't go and investigate the incidents. Wow. They said they let him speak without too much interruption, even though he was trying to move the conversation away from Dylan's disappearance. So, but that's what he wants to talk about, basically. He said that Dylan drinks beer, and one time around the 4th of July, Dylan arrived back to Lucin from Twin Falls, Idaho, and had the entire back of his truck loaded with beer. He stated that Dylan stored the beer in one of the trailers he had on his farm property. He also said that Dylan borrowed money from him to purchase that trailer. Borrowed money from a desert squatter.
Right.
Brenner also said that Dylan was in the bar in Montello bragging about how much money he had. Brenner continued to make allegations and name individuals that he stated were into drugs and stealing things. He also made allegations about crimes he stated he knew as a fact, but ultimately was being told this information. He wasn't present to any of these described. He just described every bit of gossip of every crime that he's heard about in the last 5 years to these people. So Brenner told us he believes that Dylan was involved in a strong-arm robbery and that he believes it was Chase Venstra and Robert Avila's. And Brenner reported that he believes Dylan wouldn't give them money and it escalated.
Chase sounds pretty dangerous.
He does. When asked about the bar, Brenner stated that he did not think that Kurt or Troy Wadsworth would have anything to do with this incident. He explained that Kurt was too good to Dylan and allowed him to sleep in the bar when Dylan had had too much alcohol and couldn't drive home. That's what he doesn't live there with him. He sleeps in the bar when he's too drunk. They let him fucking put a cot on a table in the fucking back.
Yeah, why does he care if Dylan is the kind of kid that just does whatever he wants? Doesn't he own this shit?
Yeah, it's his land. So Brenner told the cops that Dylan had a shotgun he would keep in the back seat of his truck, and they found that in Rigby, Idaho with his family. Brenner stated that Dylan also had a handgun that he had already found. Brenner commented that Dylan would often keep the handgun in his truck's console, but did not keep it loaded all the time. Remember, he'd be better off throwing it. Brenner said he told Dylan that he either needs to learn how to use the pistol or put it somewhere because it would end up getting him killed. And then he commented that it was a little late for that, referring to the pistol, and said that he was telling Dylan's dad, Justin, that as well. He just had him killed off already. So he went back to stating he believes Chase and the drug users were the ones responsible for the disappearance. He went off about Kevin Bibbins, saying that he would be the only one going around out in Lucin and Montello carrying a gun. This is a mess. So they explained to him that Dylan's boots were out where they were located there, and they had to be taken out there by someone. Brenner talked about Dylan telling his grandmother or somebody on the phone, and he said that Chase didn't have boots. Remember? So he probably did it. Well, then he would have probably warned them then, not left them in a fucking field. So they said that I told Brenner that it was odd that there didn't appear to be any vehicle tracks out to the location of the boots, and he explained that someone had to have taken the boots out there as it's too far for the boots to just be thrown out there by someone. Okay. They then asked him, is there any reason that your DNA would be found on these boots?
Oh, that's a good question.
Brenner said that if he picked them up, there might be some fingerprints on him, and that his fingerprints are on everything out there. Everything in the vast desert, his fingerprints are on.
I touch That's the thing about me and 6-year-olds. I touch everything.
We hang out all the time. My fingerprints are on none of your shoes. None of them. And you have multiple pairs. This guy's only pair of shoes are always on his feet. This guy's, was he going down, checking his toe to see if he's growing out of them?
I give him a lot of foot massages through his shoes.
Do that all the time. So Brenner stated that he did pick up a boot out there and threw it. Before he said he doesn't know how they got out there. Now he goes, oh, yeah, I did pick it up and throw it. Yeah, that's how that happened.
All right.
So they're like, interesting. He told us that he never saw the boots we recovered and didn't know if it was one of those boots, but he's touched some of Dylan's something. Yeah. He described that he was walking out to catch his horse on a path and came across a boot that he threw out of the way. That might have been the same boot. Yeah. So they search his area, Brenner's area here, and now they have some phone activity. So they have phone activity between him and Brennan, basically. And the way it ends up happening is their phones line up perfectly at some point to where all of their movements are together. And then Dylan's phone doesn't have any more movements, and Brenner's goes about its day.
Keeps moving, yeah.
Keeps moving. So they said that Dylan's phone appeared to move around the property until 1101 hours, where it goes stationary on the property for 3 hours and 36 minutes.
Okay.
So 11:01 a.m., it goes stationary, which he's on a property doing things that wouldn't be stationary. Then the phone moves again at 14:37, where it travels from the barn to Lucin Pond. Remember, that's the same exact time Brenner said he was at Lucin Pond. And by the way, his phone is also at Lucin Pond at this time. Yeah. The route that Dylan's phone takes is on the road that Brenner refers to as the back way, and Brenner has stated on multiple occasions he doesn't use the Little Pigeon Mountain Road to go to the main entrance. He uses the back way. Yeah. The phone arrives at the pond at 14:52 hours, and that's the last movement of the phone. The final timestamp on his phone is 14:53:55.
Okay.
Also, they analyzed all of Brenner's. Everything mirrors everything until the pond. And then Brenner goes on with his day. So they went, that pretty much says it all. We just watched what happened. So they find it in the water in the pond. They find his phone.
The phone is in the water? Oh.
Yeah, they find the phone. The polygraph now, they bring him in. They tell him he's going to do a polygraph, Brenner. He does it. They tell him, you didn't do well on that at all. You did very poorly. So they end up there. He's in there anyway for the guns.
Charges, yeah.
So after the polygraph, they interviewed him again and they asked him if there's anything other than Dylan's boots and inside Dylan's truck that could have his DNA on it. He told investigators that Dylan's trailer is another item that would have DNA on it. He also included the tractor. And they said, have you ever handled his cell phone? And he said, no, absolutely not.
Uh-oh.
So they find out that he did, obviously. So that's a problem. June 20th, 2022, there's a neighbor here, Donald Hatley. They talk to him a little bit more, and they talk about that Brenner. Okay. They said on June 7th, Brenner brought 3 black powder guns to his house and asked him to, quote, safe keep them.
Hang on to these.
Hang on. Like Godfather 2, when he passes him the thing, hang on to this for me through the window. So just in case you didn't realize, I watched Godfather 2 recently because I made 2 references in an hour. Yeah.
It's the better one, right?
They're both great, but I like it better. Yeah. When the neighbor asked why, here, Brenner said that he needed to do this for his own safety, and that the last time he had trouble with the law, they took everything from him, and he didn't want his things to be taken again. So he brought a .22 caliber rifle and some shit like that. He explained that the rifle had been left in a trailer on the property where Brenner had been living prior to Brenner living there by a person who owed Brenner money.
Oh.
So that's what that goes on here. So, so Donald Hatley talks about a little bit more about Dylan, and he said that Brenner had potential to fly off the handle and get extremely violent when upset. He talked about several incidents when that happened there. So they keep talking to this Donald Hatley because they think that he might have some info as a neighbor. But he has a lot of like innuendo and all that. So he said that he liked Dylan and that he wanted to help because he believed in Dylan's vision, not villain's vision, to start a farm in Lucin. And he felt like a father type to Dylan and he wanted to help him out. So there's that. Now, this guy said he knew Brenner since he lived in Montello, and he'd seen Brenner 2 to 3 times a week since Brenner has been in Lucin. And he said if Brenner did kill Dylan, he didn't know where Brenner would hide a body. He said that Dylan did some exploring. He and Dylan did some exploring together at the Williams place, where Hatley described being north between Brenner's place and Dylan's place on the other side of the mountain. He did say that if Brenner did kill Dylan, he would not probably find the body easily out there.
Oh.
So, anyway, June 25th, they get more tips to police from completely different people. A guy said that they had a friend near Area 51.
Oh, God.
They said that a female said the guy was named Justin Hayward, but goes by the rap music name Lil Eric. So she's blaming Lil Eric on this. That's what's going on here. Lil Eric killed him.
It's a stupid rap name.
Oh, my God. So when they get the phone out of, that's a terrible rap name. When they get the phone out of the pond, that's when everything breaks open. Because the opportunity and the phones being together make Brenner look very guilty.
Right. Yeah. Unless Lil Eric left a note in this phone.
Lil Eric did this, bitch. Left his calling card.
Lil Eric.
No Lil Eric. It's a bad rap name. So while they're searching the phone, they actually recover his phone, recover data from his phone, despite it being in a pond.
It didn't ruin it.
Nope. There was media located that clearly shows that the phone was in a trailer and was identified as Brenner's trailer. There's a picture of this is fucked up. The time frame is consistent with Dylan first arriving on the property in the morning of May 28th. The media recording was originally moving at a high speed, then was converted to a lower speed recording by the FBI. Now, in the video, the stair railing can be seen as well as the window and the door of Brenner's place.
Uh-oh.
Brenner can be seen in the video wiping off a revolver consistent with his black powder revolver, and a red substance consistent with blood appears on his left elbow, wrist, and hand.
How the fuck did that happen?
I don't know. I don't know if he did it on purpose.
Did it on accident, maybe?
But Brenner is seen wearing a camouflage T-shirt, and at multiple points in the recording, it appears he's standing over the phone. They end up going to his house and finding that T-shirt with Dylan's bloodstains on it.
Oh, shit.
Not good.
He got himself caught.
Not fucking good at all. Yeah, very, very bad. They also found a bunch of other stuff with Dylan's blood on it. They have Brenner's touch DNA on the boots.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it's so recent. There's so much technology.
It's so technologically fast. And then the shirt is the big one, though. They literally find the fucking shirt he was wearing when he did it. The video comes right when Dylan went missing. It is not good at all here. They also find a hat as well, a John Deere hat that his mother said, Dylan's mother said, is a rare special edition John Deere hat that he purchased and worn. And it was confirmed that that was what he was wearing, and James was wearing the hat when they arrested him. He was wearing Dylan's hat.
Dylan's hat. He took the hat.
It's fucked up. So they're still looking for his body, though. They haven't found his body. They look around. They find a bag of bones in the desert, and they find out that they're not human bones. They thought maybe that was it. They find a clump of, Justin, the dad, found a clump of skin and hair. Turns out not his.
Oh, my God. What is happening out here?
Don't know. I'm telling you, this place is wild. So they charge Brenner with murder anyway, obviously, here. Then the parents start sending Brenner emails begging for the body.
Yeah.
Grandpa.
Just let us bury him.
Yeah, Grandpa sent one that said, Jim, this is Larry. On May 30th, you said Dylan should learn how to use a gun. A gun can't do you any good if all you know how to do is throw it at someone. Did Dylan throw his gun at you on May 28th? What did he do to make you so mad? I would really like to hear it from you. I have some questions I hope you can answer. My phone number is, and gives it out, and said, or you can text me. There is money on this account for either one. In other words, if you call me, I'll give you money. I'll pay you to tell me what the fuck happened. Yeah. So anyway, he decides to make a plea bargain.
Really?
Yep, he admits it. He said, I did it. I killed him. Fuck it. Okay. He does it. The prosecutors are working with the parents of Dylan to come out with different options and sentencing outcomes to finalize a plea deal here. Okay. So in part of this, he's required to tell all about the case, including the location of the body. That's part of it. Sure. So he leads police to the body. It is way out in the middle of the desert in Lucin, just in the middle of the desert, under a pile of fucking shit. And he's skeletonized by now. It's
Jesus.
This happens about a year and a half later. So he's basically
just
a skeleton.
last year.
Yeah, 2023 is when they found the body. So this took this long. They finally found him. He's been gunshot wounds is what did it. Yeah. They think they shot him with a .22 rifle, I believe, here.
So much for fucking private investigators.
So Dylan's mom said, that's it. Just mad. It was that he was just mad because Brenner told the cops that he was mad that Dylan put his truck in the shed that day. That's why he killed him. Annoyed by the truck in the shed.
It's his property, man.
No, but he knocked his stuff over. So the mom said, that's it, just mad. It was absolutely shameful that's what it was over, and then that's probably all we'll ever get out of him. There's no legal arrangement that can make him tell us exactly what happened that morning.
Oh, my God.
And he said that we're definitely, we've been waiting for it. It's a giant elephant out of the room. It's a relief in that sense, the mom said. Sentencing comes around. The defense and the prosecution agreed to recommend a minimum of 3 and maximum of 30 years in prison at sentencing.
Okay.
The judge requested that Brenner stand and face the gallery, which was filled with Dylan's friends and family, and he refused.
What?
He said, nope, not going to do it. Huh. So the judge said, I am going to recommend to the parole board that they keep you as long as they legally can. You, sir, may fuck off 1 to 15 years in prison for each of the 3 counts he pleaded guilty. And he's been given credit for like a year and change time served. So it's 3-year minimum. That's what he's got. God. They'll run consecutively. And the judge is
going to recommend they hang on to him for 15 years?
For 45, because consecutive. Okay. So that's the most he can possibly get is 45. So that's a lot. The mother said it shouldn't have been an option. It should be 25 to life. But the justice system forced us into this type of plea. Since then, they've set up a nonprofit to honor Dylan's memory and to get resources for families who are searching for missing loved ones, which is very cool.
This is so fucked.
It's so fucked. Yeah, that's Dylan's legacy is what it's called. So
poor little guy.
That is fucked up, man. This is all fucked up. He went out there. He just
wanted to grow some grain.
He just wanted to grow grain. He wanted to be fucking just a feed
people. Be an
people.
actual farmer.
Jesus
the hardest
Christ.
job.
It's hard. So there's poor Dylan. The most information we've ever had on a case in this. And everybody's interviews. It was so much to sift through. So get through the end real quick here. Definitely, if you like that, tell everyone you know. Give us 5 stars on whatever app you're listening to. Definitely head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Tickets, not only for virtual live show, it'll be April 19th, the 420 virtual live show. Wherever you are in the world with Wi-Fi, you can watch it. So check that out. Also, tickets for Chicago in May. Get them right fucking now and the rest of the year as well. get in there and do that. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com, Patreon.com/Crime and Sports. All your bonus material, anybody $5 a month or above. Tons of episodes you're going to get immediately. New ones every other week. This week, the Miami Dolphins bullying scandal for Crime and Sports, which you get. Small Town Murder, the Amazon review killer. Can't wait for that. Can't wait. Come back. Keep seeing us over and over again. And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.